Commander Zara Vex stood at the large window of Nexus Station, watching ships come and go from the busy docking bays. Her blue crystalline skin caught the light from the artificial suns that lit the massive space station. With 4 arms, she was easily recognized as a Catherian, one of the most skilled navigators in the galaxy. Her people could sense the invisible currents of hyperspace like others might feel wind on their face. The station buzzed with activity. Traders from dozens of worlds moved through the corridors, their voices mixing into a constant hum of different languages. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, others floated in mechanical suits, and a few crawled along the walls with multiple limbs. This was the heart of galactic trade, where deals worth entire planets were made every day. Zara had been living here for 3 years now, and in that time she had become famous for something unusual. She was the navigator who said no to everyone. "Commander." "Vex?" A nervous voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned to see Court, her Rigelian assistant, approaching with yet another datapad in his thin, gray hands. His large black eyes blinked rapidly, a sign he was worried about something. "What is it this time, Court?" Zara asked, though she already knew the answer. "The Zephyrian Trade Federation has made another offer. They've increased their payment by 20% and are offering you command of their entire exploration fleet." Court's voice shook slightly as he spoke. The Zephyrians were not known for their patience when someone refused their generous offers. Zara took the datapad and glanced at the numbers. The amount was enough to buy a small moon, but she handed it back without reading the details. "Tell them no, but Commander, this is the 3rd time they've increased their offer. They're starting to get angry." "Then they can stay angry." Zara turned back to the window. "I'm not interested in helping them expand their territory." Court fidgeted with his long fingers. "If you don't mind me asking, why do you keep refusing these offers? You could have your pick of the finest ships in the galaxy. The Valdorian Empire offered you an entire fleet. The Ethereal Collective promised you your own research station. Even the Drachneri, who never negotiate, came here personally to meet with you." Zara's expression grew cold. "I've seen what happens when advanced technology meets poor character, Court. I've navigated ships that brought nothing but destruction to peaceful worlds. I've watched species conquer others simply because they had better weapons and faster ships." She pointed to a sleek warship docking at one of the military bays. "See that Valdorian dreadnought? Last month, I was offered command of 12 ships. Just like it. Do you know what they wanted me to do? Guide them to the Cygnus colonies so they could bring order to the independent settlements there. They made it sound noble, but I knew what they really meant." Court's large eyes grew wider. "You think they wanted to conquer the colonies?" "I know they did. I've seen their files. The Cygnus system has rare minerals that the Valdorians need for their war machines. They don't want to negotiate or trade. For them, they want to take them by force." Zara had learned this lesson the hard way. 5 years ago, she had accepted a contract with the Hegemony of Worlds, thinking she would be helping with peaceful exploration. Instead, she found herself navigating a fleet of warships to a system inhabited by a gentle species called the Quailorians. The Quailorians had never developed space travel, living simple lives on their beautiful forest world. The Hegemony had claimed they were bringing civilization to the Quailorians, but Zara watched in horror as they destroyed the alien cities and enslaved the survivors. The Quailorians had tried to surrender, but the Hegemony forces showed no mercy. They wanted the planet's resources and saw the native population as nothing more than obstacles to be removed. That day, Zara had made a promise to herself. Never again would she use her skills to help others conquer or destroy. She would rather live in poverty than enable another massacre. "But surely not all species are like that," Court said quietly. "Some must have good intentions. Do they?" Zara pointed to another section of the station where a group of insectoid aliens were loading crates onto their ship. "Those are Nexari traders. They look peaceful enough, but I know what's in those crates. Weapons that they sell to both sides of every conflict they can find. They profit from war and suffering." She gestured to a floating creature in a containment suit. That's a Vorthan explorer. They claim to be scientists, but every world they study ends up strip-mined within a decade. They take everything valuable and leave dead rocks behind. Court looked around the station with new eyes, seeing the casual cruelty that Zara had learned to recognize. So what do? You can't stay here forever. I wait, Zara said simply. I wait for someone different. Someone who explores because they want to understand, not because they want to take. Someone who sees the galaxy as something to be shared, not conquered. Do you really think such a species exists? Zara was quiet for a long moment. I hope so. Because if they don't, then I'll spend the rest of my life on this station, turning down every offer that comes my way. As if summoned by their conversation, another alien approached them. This one was tall and elegant, with silver skin and flowing robes that seemed to move on their own. Zara recognized her immediately as Ambassador Thera of the Celestial Dominion. Commander. Vex, Thera said in a voice like musical chimes. I bring greetings from the Celestial Council. We have a proposal that we believe you cannot refuse. Zara crossed her arms. I'm listening. We are planning an expedition to the Andromeda Galaxy. A journey beyond anything attempted before. We offer you not just command of the navigation fleet, but a seat on the Council itself. You would have power over star systems, control over trade routes, authority over entire civilizations. And what would you want in return? Zara asked, though she already suspected the answer. Simple. Help us establish the first permanent foothold in Andromeda. Show us the safe routes through the void between galaxies. Guide our colonization fleets to the richest systems. Colonization fleets. Zara's voice was flat. How many ships? 50,000 vessels in the first wave. Enough to establish our dominance before any other species can mount a challenge. And what happens to any species already living in those systems? Thyra's expression didn't change. They will be given the opportunity to join our great civilization. Those who refuse will be relocated to suitable worlds where they can live in peace. Relocated, Zara had heard that word before. It usually meant enslaved or killed. Thank you for the offer, Ambassador, but I must decline. Thera's musical voice turned sharp. You refuse? Do you understand what you're turning down? We're offering you godlike power over an entire galaxy. I understand perfectly. You want me to help you commit genocide on a galactic scale. The answer is no. You're making a mistake, Commander. The Celestial Dominion has a long memory. We do not forget those who refuse our generosity. Then I suggest you start forgetting, Zara said calmly, because I'm not interested in your definition of generosity. Ambassador Thyra's robes fluttered with anger, but she said nothing more. She turned and walked away, her silver heels clicking against the station's metal floor. Court watched her go with obvious relief. That was dangerous, Commander. The Celestial Dominion isn't known for accepting rejection gracefully. I know, Zara turned back to the window. But I'd rather face their anger than live with the guilt of helping them destroy innocent worlds. As the day wore on, more offers came. The syndicate of free traders wanted her to help them establish monopolies on trade routes. The Iron Brotherhood offered her leadership of their pirate fleets. The merchant princes promised her wealth beyond imagination, if she would help them exploit newly discovered worlds. Zara refused them all. By evening, she stood alone at the window again, watching the endless stream of ships. Somewhere out there, she told herself, there had to be a species different from all the others. A people who explored not to conquer, but to understand. Who sought knowledge instead of power. Who valued cooperation over domination. She had to believe they existed. Because if they didn't, the galaxy was a much darker place than she wanted to admit. 3 days after her encounter with Ambassador Thera, Zara noticed something unusual happening at the docking bays. A ship was arriving that she had never seen before. It was clearly built by humans, recognizable by its strange mix of advanced technology and what looked like basic engineering. The vessel was smaller than most of the warships that visited Nexus Station, but it had an interesting design. Where other ships were built for speed or firepower, This one seemed designed for comfort and long journeys. The hull was painted in soft blue and white colors, with large windows that would let the crew see the stars during their travels. UES. Wanderer? Court read from his datapad as he joined Zara at the observation window. Earth United Systems Registry. It's a research vessel, not a military ship. Humans, Zara mused. She had heard of them, of course. They were still new to Galactic. Society having only developed faster-than-light travel about 50 years ago. Most of the established powers considered them a minor species, too young and weak to be important. "They're requesting permission to speak with you," Court said, checking his messages. "The captain wants to discuss a possible contract." Zara almost laughed. "Another conquest mission, I'm sure? Tell them what I tell everyone else. I'm not interested." "Actually, Commander, their message is different from the others. They're not offering money or power. They just want to talk." This was unusual. Every other species had led with their most impressive offers, trying to overwhelm her with promises of wealth and authority. But these humans were asking for a simple conversation. "Fine," Zara said. "But make it clear that I'm not interested in helping them claim territory or conquer other worlds." An hour later, a small group of humans approached her usual table in the station's common area. Zara had chosen this spot because it was public and safe, where she could easily leave if a meeting went badly. The human leading the group was tall and lean, with brown hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple uniform without the decorations and medals that most species use to show their importance. When he reached her table, he didn't demand her attention or make grand speeches about his species' greatness. Instead, he simply asked, "Mind if I sit down?" Zara was surprised by his polite manner. "You may." "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the UES Wanderer," he said, settling into the chair across from her. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Before we begin, Captain, I should tell you that I'm not interested in military campaigns or conquest missions. If that's what you're offering, we can end this conversation now." Jake smiled. "Good thing that's not what we're here for, then. We're explorers, Commander Vex, scientists, and researchers. We're not interested in claiming territory or fighting wars." "Then what do you want?" Zara asked, studying his face for signs of deception. She had learned to read the expressions of many species, and humans were easier than most. "We want to understand," Jake said simply. "There's so much we don't know about the galaxy, so many mysteries we haven't solved. We're planning an expedition to the Void Reaches, and we need someone with your skills to guide us there." Zara's interest was immediately caught. The Void Reaches? That region is considered impossible to navigate. The hyperspace currents there are completely chaotic. Most ships that enter never return. Exactly why we need the best navigator in the galaxy, Jake said. "But here's the thing, Commander. We're not just asking you to work for us. We want you to lead the expedition. Your decisions on where we go, what we investigate, how we approach anything we find." This was completely different from every other offer Zara had received. No species had ever offered her full command authority. They all wanted to use her skills but keep control for themselves. "And what does humanity gain from this arrangement?" she asked. "Knowledge," Jake replied without hesitation. "Understanding of the universe we live in. Maybe the chance to make some friends along the way." Zara had heard many lies in her years on the station, but Jake's words felt genuine. Still, she had to be careful. "Captain Morrison, I've heard promises like this before. Species that claim to be peaceful explorers but turn into conquerors the moment they find something valuable." "I understand your concern," Jake said. "Would you be willing to tour our ship? See what we're really about? Meet our crew and learn about our mission?" One of the other humans, a woman with short black hair, stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Lisa Martinez, Chief Engineer of the Wanderer. Commander, I've studied your work. Your navigation of the Spiral Nebula 3 years ago was brilliant. We would be honored to have you lead our expedition." "And I'm Dr. Alex Chun," said another human, a man with glasses and a friendly smile. "I'm the expedition's biologist." We're hoping to catalog new life forms in the void reaches, study how they survive in such harsh conditions. Zara looked at the three humans. They seemed genuinely excited about their mission, not like the cold, calculating representatives of other species who saw exploration as just another form of conquest. What exactly would this expedition involve? She asked. Jake pulled out a datapad, but instead of showing her lists of weapons or invasion plans, he displayed star charts and scientific equipment specifications. We want to map the hyperspace currents in the void reaches, study the strange energy readings we've detected from long-range sensors, maybe find out why ships disappear there. We're also interested in the possibility of ancient civilizations, Dr. Chun added. Some of our scientists think the void reaches might contain ruins from species that existed millions of years ago. And if you find inhabited worlds? Zara asked. What then? We make contact carefully, Jake said. We try to learn from each other. We share knowledge and hopefully build friendships. You don't claim the worlds for humanity? Jake looked genuinely confused by the question. Why would we do that? The galaxy is huge. There's room for everyone. Our job isn't to take over everything we find, but to understand our place in it all. This was so different from what Zara had heard from other species that she found it hard to believe. Captain, forgive me, but every other species I've met wants to expand their territory. They explore to find new worlds to conquer or resources. To exploit, you're telling me humans are different? We are different, said a new voice. Zara turned to see another human approaching, a woman with gray hair and captain's stripes on her uniform. I'm Captain Beth Thompson, Morrison's second in command. Commander Vex, may I tell you something about human history? Zara nodded, curious to hear what this woman had to say. A few hundred years ago, humans were divided into many different nations on our homeworld. We fought wars over territory and resources. We conquered and enslaved each other. We nearly destroyed our own planet with our conflicts. Beth sat down at the table. But we learned something important from those dark times. We learned that conquest brings only temporary victory, that enslaving others makes enemies, not allies, that destroying worlds leaves you with nothing but empty rocks. So, we chose a different path, Jake continued. When we reached the stars, we decided to be explorers, not conquerors. We want to learn from other species, not rule over them. That's a beautiful philosophy, Zara said. But I've heard noble words before. How do I know you'll keep to these principles when you're faced with real temptation? Dr. Martinez spoke up. Commander, would you be willing to visit our ship? See how we've designed it? Talk to our crew? I think you'll find we're not like the others. Zara considered the offer. She had nothing to lose by looking, and these humans had aroused her curiosity. Very well. But I make no promises about accepting your offer. Understood, Jake said. We just want the chance to show you who we really are. As they walked toward the docking bay, Zara found herself hoping that these humans were as different as they claimed. For 3 years, she had been waiting for someone to prove that not all species were driven by greed and conquest. Maybe, just maybe, she had finally found them. The Wanderer was docked in Bay 7, a section usually reserved for smaller civilian vessels. As they approached, Zara could see that the ship was even more unusual up close. Where other vessels had weapon ports and armor plating, the Wanderer had sensor arrays and communication equipment. She's not much to look at, Jake said, with obvious pride, but she's designed for discovery, not destruction. Every system on board is meant to help us understand what we find, not to exploit it. For the first time in years, Zara felt a small spark of hope. Maybe the galaxy wasn't as dark as she had thought. Maybe there really were species out there who explored for the right reasons. She was about to find out. The airlock of the UES Wanderer opened with a soft hiss, and Zara stepped inside. The first thing she noticed was the smell. Most ships smelled of metal, fuel, and the fear of their crews. But the Wanderer smelled like growing things, clean air, and something she couldn't quite identify until she realized it was home cooking. Welcome aboard, Jake said, leading her into the main corridor. I know she doesn't look like much compared to those fancy warships out there, but she's perfect for what we do. The corridor was wider than most ship passages, with soft lighting that reminded Zara of natural sunlight. The walls were covered with viewing screens showing peaceful scenes from different worlds, a forest under a purple sky, an ocean with two moons reflecting on its surface, mountains that glowed with their own inner light. Are those from worlds you visited? Zara asked. Some of them, Dr. Chun replied, walking beside her. Others are from worlds we hope to see someday. We like to remember why we're out here. They passed a common area where several crew members were relaxing. Some were reading, others were playing what looked like a card game. A few were working on small projects, but none of them seemed stressed or afraid. When they saw Zara, they smiled and nodded politely, but they didn't stare or whisper like crews on other ships had done. How many people are on your ship? Zara asked. 47, Jake said. Scientists, engineers, medical staff, and a few others. We're all volunteers who wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Volunteers? This surprised Zara. Most species used conscripted crews or soldiers who had no choice in their assignments. Every person on this ship chose to be here, Captain Thompson explained. We believe people do their best work when they want to be doing it. They entered what Jake called the engineering section, where Dr. Martinez was waiting for them. The room was filled with equipment that Zara had never seen before. It looked advanced, but also somehow gentle. Where other ships had weapon systems and armor controls, the Wanderer had scientific instruments and communication arrays. This is our hyperspace navigation system, Dr. Martinez said, showing Zara a complex display. We've designed it to work with a skilled navigator rather than replace one. All the computer power in the galaxy can't match the intuitive understanding that someone like you has. Zara studied the system carefully. It was impressive, but more importantly, it was designed to support a navigator's natural abilities rather than ignore them. This is very different from most ships. We learned early that the best results come from combining human technology with the skills of other species, Dr. Martinez explained. We don't try to do everything ourselves. We work with others who are better at specific tasks. Like navigation, Jake added. We can build the tools, but we need someone with your abilities to use them properly. They moved to what the humans called the science labs. Dr. Chun showed Zara equipment for studying new life forms, analyzing mineral samples, and recording data about unexplored worlds. Everything was designed to observe and understand, not to exploit or destroy. We've cataloged over 300 new species in the past 5 years, Dr. Chun said proudly. Not one of them has been harmed in our studies. We observe, we record, we learn, and then we leave them in peace. What about valuable resources? Zara asked. Surely you found worlds with rare minerals or useful materials. Of course we have, Dr. Chun replied. When we find inhabited worlds with valuable resources, we try to establish fair trade agreements. We offer our knowledge and technology in exchange for materials we need. And if the inhabitants don't want to trade? Dr. Chun looked puzzled. Then we don't trade. We find what we need somewhere else. There are plenty of uninhabited worlds with the same resources. This was completely different from how other species operated. The Valdorians would have simply taken what they wanted. The hegemony would have conquered the world and enslaved its people. But the humans respected the right of others to say no. Jake led them to what he called the crew quarters. Each person had their own small room, but the spaces were comfortable and personal. Zara saw photos of families, art from different worlds, and personal belongings that made each room feel like a home. We're going to be in space for months at a time, Jake explained. People need to feel comfortable and safe. They need to feel like they're part of a family, not just workers on a ship. Your crew seems very relaxed, Zara observed. Most ship crews I've seen are tense and frightened. Fear makes people do stupid things, Captain Thompson said. We've learned that treating people with respect and kindness makes them work better and think more clearly. They visited the medical bay. where Dr. Sarah Kim showed Zara equipment designed to treat injuries and illnesses from dozens of different species. "We never know what kind of help we might need to provide," she explained. "Part of being good explorers is being prepared to help anyone we meet, even if they're hostile?" Zara asked. "Especially then," Dr. Kim replied. "We've found that helping. Someone often changes their attitude toward us. It's hard to stay angry at people who save your life." The tour continued to the ship's bridge, where Zara saw the most advanced navigation equipment she had ever encountered. But instead of being controlled by computers, it was designed to work with a skilled navigator. There was even a special chair designed for someone with her four-armed physiology. "We had this built specifically for a Cytherian navigator," Jake explained. "We've been hoping to find someone like you for years." "You built this before you even met me?" Zara was amazed. "How did you know I would be interested?" "We didn't," Jake admitted. "But we hoped. We believed that somewhere out there was someone who shared our values. Someone who wanted to explore for the right reasons." They ended the tour in the ship's dining area, where the crew was gathering for their evening meal. The humans invited Zara to join them, and she found herself sitting at a table with people from various departments. "So you're the famous navigator?" "Vex," said a young engineer named Tom Wilson. "We've heard about your work. That navigation through the Maelstrom Nebula was incredible." "How did you hear about that?" Zara asked. "We study the work of skilled navigators," explained Dr. Chun. "We want to learn from the best, even if we can't do what they do." As they ate, Zara listened to the crew talk about their work. They spoke about discoveries they had made, problems they had solved, and worlds they hoped to explore. But she never heard anyone talk about conquest or exploitation. They seemed genuinely excited about learning new things and meeting new people. "Can I ask you something?" said a communications officer named Janet Ross. "Why did you turn down all those other offers? Some of them were worth enough to buy entire solar systems." Zara was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to explain. "I once helped a species conquer a peaceful world. I thought I was doing good work, helping with exploration and discovery. But I was really helping them destroy innocent lives." The table grew quiet. Several crew members looked uncomfortable, and Zara realized they were feeling sympathy for her, not judgment. "That must have been terrible," Dr. Kim said softly. "To realize you had been deceived like that." "It was," Zara admitted. "I promised myself I would never help anyone do that again. But everyone who has approached me since then has wanted to use my skills for conquest or exploitation. Until now," Jake said. "Until now," Zara agreed. Captain Thompson leaned forward. "Commander, I want to tell you something about our mission to the Void Reaches. We don't know what we'll find there. It might be empty space, or it might be full of wonders we can't imagine. But whatever we discover, we promise you this: we will not harm anyone. We will not take what doesn't belong to us. We will not conquer or exploit." "How can you promise that?" Zara asked. "What if you find something incredibly valuable? What if your government orders you to claim it?" "Our government doesn't work that way," Jake explained. "Earth's government is made up of representatives from all our different nations. They learned long ago that conquest and exploitation only lead to more wars and suffering. Besides," Dr. Martinez added, "we have the right to refuse orders that go against our principles. That's written into our contracts and our laws." Zara looked around the table at these humans who seemed so different from every other species she had encountered. They were offering her something she had thought was impossible, the chance to explore with honor and purpose. "Your offer is very tempting," she said slowly, "but I need time to think about it." "Of course," Jake said. "Take all the time you need. We'll be here for another week, resupplying and making final preparations." As Zara prepared to leave the ship, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years: excitement about the possibility of returning to space. For the first time since the tragedy with the Quilorians, she was considering accepting a navigation contract. Maybe, just maybe, she had found the species she had been waiting for. 2 days after her tour of the Wanderer, Zara made her decision. She found Jake Morrison in the station's common area, studying star charts of the void reaches on his datapad. "Captain Morrison," she said, sitting down across from him. "I accept." "Your offer—" Jake's face lit up with genuine happiness. "That's wonderful news, Commander. We're honored to have you join us." "I have conditions," Zara said. "If we encounter any inhabited worlds, we make no territorial claims. If we find valuable resources, we don't exploit them without permission from whoever lives there. And if I determine that the mission is becoming harmful to others, we return to Nexus Station immediately." "Agreed," Jake said without hesitation. "Those are exactly the principles we believe in." Within a week, the Wanderer was ready to depart. Zara had moved her personal belongings aboard and was working with the human crew to prepare for the dangerous journey ahead. The ship's navigation systems had been modified to work with her unique abilities, and she had spent hours familiarizing herself with the equipment. On their final day at Nexus Station, Ambassador Thera of the Celestial Dominion made one last attempt to change Zara's mind. "Commander Vex," she said, approaching Zara in the corridor leading to the Wanderer's airlock, "I've heard about your decision to join these humans. Surely you can't be serious about choosing them over the Celestial Dominion." "I'm completely serious," Zara replied. "But they're nobodies," Thera said, her musical voice filled with disbelief. "A minor species with no real power or influence. We're offering you control over an entire galaxy, and you choose to follow these primitives into the most dangerous region of space. They may not have your power, Ambassador, but they have something more valuable. They have honor." Thera's silver skin darkened with anger. "Honor doesn't conquer worlds, Commander. Honor doesn't build empires." "No," Zara agreed. "It doesn't. And that's exactly why I'm going with them." The Wanderer left Nexus Station the next morning, heading toward the edge of known space where the void reaches began. Zara stood on the bridge, her four hands moving across the navigation controls as she guided the ship through the first hyperspace jump. "Jump complete," she announced. "We're now in the Outer Rim territories. The void reaches are still 3 days away." "How are the hyperspace currents?" Jake asked from the captain's chair. "Stable for now," Zara replied. "But they'll start getting chaotic as we get closer to the void. I've never seen readings like the ones we're approaching." Dr. Chen studied his scientific instruments. "We're already detecting unusual energy signatures. There's something out there that's unlike anything in the known galaxy." The next 3 days passed peacefully as they traveled deeper into unexplored space. Zara found herself enjoying the work more than she had in years. The human crew trusted her completely, following her navigation instructions without question. When she needed to make course corrections or change their approach to avoid dangerous areas, they responded immediately. On the 4th day, they reached the edge of the void reaches. Zara had never seen anything like it. Space itself seemed different. Here, with strange colors swirling in the darkness and energy patterns that made her navigation senses feel confused and disoriented. "The hyperspace currents here are completely chaotic," she told Jake. "Normal navigation is impossible. I'll have to rely on my natural abilities to find safe passages." "Do whatever you need to do," Jake said. "We trust your judgment completely." Zara began the delicate work of guiding them into the void. It was like trying to find a path through a hurricane that existed in multiple dimensions at once. The ship shook and groaned as they moved through areas where space itself seemed to be twisted into impossible shapes. "There," Zara said after an hour of careful navigation. "I've found a stable current. We can follow it deeper into the void." "Incredible," Dr. Martinez said, studying her instruments. "The energy readings here are off the charts. It's like space itself is alive." They spent the next few days exploring the outer regions of the void reaches, making discoveries that amazed everyone aboard. They found areas where stars were being born in patterns never seen before, creating new types of matter that shouldn't exist according to known physics. Dr. Chun cataloged strange forms of life that existed in the vacuum of space itself, creatures made of pure energy that fed on cosmic radiation. "These beings have been living in the void for millions of years," he told the crew during one of their evening briefings. They've evolved ways to survive that we never imagined possible. But the most important discovery came when they encountered the wraiths. Zara was navigating through a particularly difficult section of the void when her instruments detected something massive approaching. It appeared on their screens as a shifting cloud of energy that seemed to move with purpose and intelligence. "Captain," she called to Jake, "we have contact with something unknown. It's big, it's moving toward us, and I think it's alive." Jake came to stand beside her chair. "Are we in danger?" "I don't know," Zara admitted. "I've never seen anything like this before." The energy cloud approached slowly, and as it got closer, the crew could see that it wasn't just random energy. It had structure and patterns that suggested a form of life completely unlike anything they had ever encountered. "It's trying to communicate," reported Janet Ross from the communications station. "I'm getting patterns in the energy readings that look like language." "Can you respond?" Jake asked. "I'm trying, but I don't understand the patterns." Zara studied the approaching entity, using her navigation senses to feel the energy currents around it. Slowly, she began to understand that the creature was trying to communicate through the same hyperspace currents that she used for navigation. "Let me try," she said. "I think I can understand what it's saying." Using her unique abilities, Zara reached out through hyperspace to make contact with the entity. The experience was unlike anything she had ever felt before. The creature's thoughts were vast and alien, but she could sense its curiosity and intelligence. "It calls itself a wraith," she told the crew. "It's been watching us since we entered the void. It wants to know why we're here." "Tell it we're explorers," Jake said. "We want to learn about this region and its inhabitants." Zara translated Jake's words through hyperspace currents, and the wraith's response surprised everyone. "It says we're different from other visitors," Zara reported. "Most species that come here try to take things or claim territory. But we're just observing and learning." Over the next several hours, Zara served as a translator between the humans and the wraith. The conversation was difficult because the entity's way of thinking was so different from physical beings, but gradually they began to understand each other. The wraith explained that its people had been living in the void reaches for millions of years. They were beings of pure energy who had evolved beyond the need for physical bodies. They had watched many species come and go, but most visitors were conquistadors or treasure hunters who saw the void as something to be exploited. "These humans are different," the wraith communicated through Zara. "They seek understanding, not possession. This is rare among physical beings." Jake asked Zara to explain humanity's philosophy of exploration. She told the wraith about human history, how they had learned from their mistakes and chosen cooperation over conquest. "We want to learn from others, not rule over them," Zara translated Jake's words. "We believe the galaxy is big enough for everyone to share." The wraith was fascinated by this approach. It began sharing knowledge about the void reaches, explaining how the chaotic hyperspace currents worked and why ships disappeared in this region. The information was incredibly valuable, potentially revolutionizing space travel throughout the galaxy. But more importantly, the wraith offered something that no other species had ever achieved in the void reaches: friendship. "My people would like to establish peaceful contact with your species," the wraith told them through Zara. "We have much to learn from each other." Jake was thrilled by the possibility. "We would be honored to be friends with your people." As their conversation continued, Zara realized that something important was happening. The humans had accomplished what no other species had managed to do in the void reaches. They had made peaceful first contact with an incredibly advanced civilization, not through superior firepower or clever tricks, but through simple respect and genuine curiosity. When the wraith finally departed, promising to return with others of its kind for future meetings, the crew of the Wanderer celebrated their success. They had not only survived the void reaches, but had made the most important discovery in galactic history. "Commander," Jake said to Zara as they watched the wraith disappear into the energy storms of the void, "thank you for trusting us. None of this would have been possible without you." Zara smiled, feeling genuinely happy for the first time in years. Thank you for showing me that there are still species worth helping in this galaxy. For the first time since the tragedy with the Quilorians, Zara felt proud of her work as a navigator. She had helped make something beautiful happen instead of something terrible. The journey back to Nexus Station took 2 weeks. During that time, news of the successful contact with the Wraiths spread throughout the galaxy faster than the Wanderer could travel. By the time they arrived at the station, crowds of reporters and representatives from dozens of species were waiting for them. Zara stood on the bridge as they approached the docking bay, watching the chaos outside through the viewing screens. Ships from every major power in the galaxy were present, all wanting to learn about the expedition's discoveries. "Looks like we're famous," Jake said, joining her at the window. "This is what I was afraid of," Zara replied. "Now everyone will want to exploit what we found." "Maybe," Jake said. "But that's not our responsibility. We did the right thing. Whatever happens next is up to the galaxy to decide." As soon as they docked, officials from Nexus Station came aboard to debrief the crew. The station commander, a Rigelian named Admiral Xerxes, personally congratulated them on their achievement. "This is the most important discovery in galactic history," Admiral Xerxes said. "First contact with an energy-based civilization that has existed for millions of years. The scientific implications are staggering. What about the navigation techniques?" asked Dr. Martinez. "The Wraiths shared knowledge that could revolutionize space travel. That information will be shared with all member species of the Galactic Council," Admiral Xerxes assured her. "No single species will be allowed to monopolize such important discoveries." After the debriefing, Zara found herself in the unique position of being the most sought-after navigator in galactic history. Her role in establishing contact with the Wraiths had made her even more famous than before, and now every species wanted to hire her for their own expeditions to the void. Reaches. The offers came flooding in within hours of their return. The Valdorian Empire offered her command of their entire exploration fleet plus a personal fortune that could buy several star systems. The Celestial Dominion promised her a seat on their ruling council and control over all navigation operations. In their territory, even species that had never approached her before sent representatives with incredible offers. The Quantum Collective offered to upload her consciousness into their computer networks, giving her immortality and unlimited access to their technology. The hive minds of Centaurus promised to make her the supreme navigator for their combined fleets. Zara met with each representative in the station's diplomatic quarters, listening politely to their offers before declining them all. Some of the ambassadors became angry when she refused, threatening economic sanctions or military action. Others tried to bribe her with even larger amounts of money and power. "You're making a mistake, Commander," warned the Valdorian ambassador. After she rejected their latest offer, "The Emperor does not like to be refused. There may be consequences for your decision." "Then your Emperor will have to live with disappointment," Zara replied calmly. The pressure continued for days. Representatives followed her through the station, trying to change her mind. Some offered partnerships instead of employment, promising to treat her as an equal rather than a hired worker. Others threatened to prevent the humans from returning to the void reaches if she didn't cooperate with them. Through it all, the crew of the Wanderer remained supportive. Jake and his officers made it clear that they would respect whatever decision Zara made, even if it meant losing her services. "We knew this would happen," Captain Thompson told her during one of their private conversations. "The discovery is too important for the other species to ignore. If you want to accept one of their offers, we'll understand." "And if I don't?" Zara asked. "Then we'll be honored to have you continue working with us," Thompson replied. "But we won't ask you to sacrifice better opportunities just to stay with humanity." On the 5th day after their return, the Galactic Council called an emergency session to discuss the implications of the Wraith contact. Representatives from every major civilization gathered in the station's main assembly hall to debate how the new knowledge should be used. Zara was invited to address the council, explaining how the contact had been made and what the Wraiths had shared with them. As she spoke, she could see the hunger in the eyes of many representatives. They weren't interested in the scientific knowledge or the possibility of friendship with an ancient civilization. They were focused on the potential advantages they could gain over their rivals. The Wraiths specifically chose to share their knowledge with humanity because of their peaceful approach, Zara told the assembly. They were impressed by the humans' desire to understand rather than conquer. But surely this knowledge belongs to all species, interrupted the Zephyrian representative. It would be unfair for humanity to keep such important discoveries to themselves. The humans have already agreed to share everything they learned, Zara replied. They're not trying to keep the knowledge secret. Then why won't they allow our ships to accompany them on future expeditions to the void reaches? Demanded the Celestial Dominion ambassador. Jake stood up to answer. Because the Wraiths specifically requested that only our ships return. They want to build trust slowly, starting with one species before opening contact with others. This led to heated arguments among the council members. Some species demanded immediate access to the void reaches, threatening to send their own expeditions with or without permission. Others proposed joint missions where multiple species would work together under human leadership. Through it all, Zara watched the proceedings with growing disappointment. Even faced with the most important discovery in galactic history, the various species could only think about how to gain advantage over each other. After the council session ended, Zara returned to her quarters on Nexus Station to think about her future. She had dozens of offers to consider, each promising wealth and power beyond anything she had ever imagined. But she had also seen how quickly the galactic community had turned the Wraith discovery into another competition for dominance. Evening, Jake Morrison came to visit her. Have you made your decision? He asked. I'm still thinking about it, Zara replied. The offers are very tempting. Some of these species are promising me things that could change my life forever. What kind of things? The Quantum Collective offered me immortality. The Valdorian Empire promised me control over entire star systems. Even the Drachneri, who never negotiate, offered me a position in their ruling hierarchy. Jake nodded thoughtfully. Those are incredible offers. I couldn't blame you for accepting any of them. But Zara sensed there was more he wanted to say. But I've watched you work with our crew for the past few weeks. I've seen how happy you were when we made contact with the Wraiths. You weren't excited because of the potential profits or advantages. You were excited because we had accomplished something good. Zara was quiet for a moment. What are you offering me, Captain? Compared to immortality and star systems, what can humanity give me? Honestly? Not much in terms of material rewards. We can offer you a good salary, comfortable quarters, and interesting work. But we can't compete with the wealth and power that others are promising. Then why should I stay with you? Jake smiled. Because we can offer you something that's more valuable than money or power. We can offer you the chance to keep doing what you love for the right reasons. The next morning, Zara called a press conference in the station's main auditorium. Representatives from every major news organization in the galaxy were present, along with ambassadors and officials from dozens of species. I've made my decision about my future, she announced to the assembled crowd. I'm staying with the human expedition team. The auditorium erupted in surprised voices and angry protests. Several ambassadors stood up to object, demanding explanations for her choice. Commander Vex, called the Valdorian ambassador over the noise. Surely you can't be serious. We offered you wealth beyond measure and power over entire civilizations. You offered me the chance to help you conquer others, Zara replied. The humans offered me something far more valuable, the chance to explore with honor. But what about the opportunities you're losing? Demanded the Celestial Dominion representative. You could rule star systems, command vast fleets, become one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Zara looked out at the crowd of aliens, seeing the greed and hunger in their eyes. Then she looked at Jake and his crew, who were standing quietly to one side, smiling with genuine happiness at her decision. You're right, she said. I could have power over others, but I've discovered something better. I can have power over myself, I can choose to use my abilities to help species that share my values rather than those who offer the highest price. And what if the Wraiths refuse to continue contact? Asked a reporter. What if your loyalty to humanity costs the galaxy this important relationship? Then that will be the galaxy's loss, Zara replied. The Wraiths chose to trust humanity because of their character, not their power. If other species want that trust, they need to earn it the same way. As the press conference ended and the crowd dispersed, many of the ambassadors left in anger. Some made threats about economic consequences or diplomatic retaliation. Others promised that their species would find ways to reach the void reaches without human help, but Zara wasn't worried about their threats.